And we just go straight into this one, Mr. Cody. If you want to kick it off, Mr. Cody, of this real quick update video for everyone. To the people watching right now, by the way, this is a rare thing. We're actually doing it streaming to each other instead of in person, and there's reasons behind that. We can't just fly Rich down because the new stuff that has came out. But Cody, if you want to introduce and get this going.
Hi everyone, welcome to the Unsubscribed Podcast. I'm joined today by Angry Cops, the Fat Electrician, Eli Double Tap, Brandon Herrera, and myself, Donut Operator. We are here today because our friend Angry Cops has some updates about the whole Buffalo school system situation. What you got, Rich?
The local media hates me.
Oh.
Yeah, we see that.
It seems that trying to disparage me is far more important than looking out for the children of Buffalo. So how dare I even go on your podcast?
And how dare we drink? How dare we drink on that podcast too?
Hashtag absolutely foul.
Listen, I heard you burp, which means you're not allowed to protect children.
That makes sense.
So ridiculous. So fucking ridiculous.
I love how their tone has changed as it becomes apparent that you were A, correct, and B, they get pushback from everybody involved of like, I don't care that he had empty cans near him and he burped at one point while he's trying to expose corruption and endangering kids.
It is the
so much for a rocky past.
It's wild. That's the way to downplay it.
That's my favorite part of the entire thing. They're like, this detective has a rocky past and he's accusing the Buffalo public school system. So you guys want to hear about the rocky past of the Buffalo public school systems? Because I have it. I've covered every fucking scandal they've had since 1970. You guys want to get into those real quick? I can give you just the brief overviews.
I know what today we're going to talk about.
Yeah, today we're talking about the Buffalo school system.
Yeah, before we get into that, that is the one thing. The main thing is, Rich, you have something we will tie in wherever it falls. We'll go through this linearly of how everything is unfolding. Rich got hit with a big thing, right?
Yeah, I now have evidence that I can share, like that I don't have to sit on and wait. I have evidence that I can share that has to do with one of my investigations that's closed that I got just the other day. That it's gonna make me look as like I know what I'm talking about.
Wild. You were right. Huh? You weren't making shit up. Huh?
Oh, hold on. Time out. I'm not like a lawyer or anything, but does the testimony of an active serving SVU detective in regards to the area that he does his fucking job in count as evidence to begin with?
I mean, some might call me a subject matter expert, so that could be used in court, yeah.
Oh, of like the cases that you've worked on that you just gave your testimony about and they still fucking called shit? It's okay, though, because now we have like concrete documented evidence.
And really,
right?
Rich, what is your job? One more time, just so it is very clear of what you do. And it's not a random guy on the internet or the influencer.
Yeah, so I am currently a detective in the Buffalo Police Department's Special Victims Unit, which deals with assaults on children, domestic violence, and things of that nature.
A professional.
When I'm not on YouTube, yeah.
Well, hold on. He burps, though.
Shit, I forgot. Yeah, we recorded that.
Yeah, if I was a parent and I had my kid in the Buffalo public school system, I don't really think I would give a fuck about the empty White Claw can. That's just me personally, though.
Yeah, well, you're going to be a horrible parent, Brandon, per Channel 7 News. So, poor
Ed. What about his decorum?
Poor Ed is just getting lamb-basted for people who don't know. Ed, who is actually he's a good journalist. I enjoyed watching his stuff because he holds people to accountable when he questions them. He doesn't just let them give him some BS answer. Made the mistake of starting his story about finding out about this by saying, "Oh, the Unsub podcast is gross. It's a bunch of dudes drinking, burping, and being, quote, absolutely foul." And then he goes, but then the detective started talking about things that, were concerning. And I'm like, oh no, you just made the worst introduction to the unsub community you could have ever made. And now everybody in the unsub community is not letting him skate and being like, the first thing you cared about and talked about in the story was booze, burps, and being foul. You owe us an apology. And then you guys clipped it and we all shared it. And he's like doubling down on it now, saying, no. I was talking about other stuff too. And Nick was brilliant. He goes, oh, isn't that crazy how we brought up a small portion of something that happened in your career and that's all we're focusing on? Seems kind of like the shit you do to Rich, doesn't it?
It's like, oh, it was out of context. I'm like, no, I watched the clip. It's just what you fucking said to open it up. That's directly what you said.
We played like the untouched minute and a half of him talking. We didn't cut it out of anything.
Yeah, we didn't edit it. It wasn't like a little 5-second snippet. It was just his entire introduction to the segment was talking about how foul we are.
Which is becoming a t-shirt. I talked to the guys at Bunker, and they're in the process of making an absolutely foul t-shirt.
Rich, that is your deplorables.
The deplorables is really good. Well, Nick, do you want to get started with the you probably predates. We have a quick update, or what we can do, Rich, do a quick, hey, here's like a 3 to 5 minute segment to catch everyone up if they're just tuning into this.
Sure. So if everybody's tuning into this for the first time and they're trying to figure out what the hell's going on, because several weeks ago I went on your podcast, the Unsubscribed podcast, which I'm a regular on because we're all boys, and I felt like that was the appropriate opportunity to talk about how the Buffalo Public Schools has been intentionally misreporting or underreporting and obstructing law enforcement investigations into child abuse and assault against children. It got a lot of attention right off the rip, and a lot of people critiqued it and said, hey, we're uncultured and foul, and questioned why I would go on a lame, dumb podcast and even talk about such a serious topic. And obviously my reasoning and my response to that is because I trust you guys. I love you all. You guys would allow me to talk like that. And because we're tight, and I asked you if I could just steal the spotlight for a second and talk about something that was weighing on my mind, you let me. And the thing that sent me over the edge, that created and started all of this, wasn't just my several years in the Special Victims Unit and the years prior and hearing about these issues for years and years and years with the Buffalo Public Schools. The straw that broke the camel's back is a recent ongoing investigation where 2 kids were nearly abducted. It was an attempted abduction of 2 kids at an elementary school, and the school had failed to notify one of the kids' parents that the child was a part of an attempted abduction. And then the school deleted the video of the attempted abduction. And then only after somebody within the school had the wherewithal to save a copy of it, I don't know how they did it, but they saved a copy of it somehow. They then gave it to the district attorney's office. And only then, when the district attorney got that recording, did they see that there was a second victim. And I was like, okay, cool. If this is what's going on, then I'm done. And somebody has to know, and a change needs to be made now, because this is egregious. And since then, the news has decided, for the first couple days, to focus on me instead of the children. And when I say focus on me, they would bring up my past with internal affairs investigations and investigations with the AG's office. They say he's had numerous investigations, which is fine. I can be investigated 1 million times for every single complaint that anybody's put on me, and I should be, to make sure I'm not a bad cop. What they don't talk about is that at the end of all these investigations, the only thing that they showed, including the AG's office, was that I was too rude when I called a robbery suspect for an armed robbery fat boy, and that I got in an on-duty accident in a vehicle. Those are the only 2 things I was found that I did incorrectly. So that brings us to our autism army, who decided to flood the gates with, thank God, the positive comments about me, and the local media trying to take away the spotlight from the incidents that I'm talking about in the Buffalo Public Schools, trying to cover up sexual assaults and other things in their schools, and trying to make me the center of it. So everybody called them out and literally changed headlines, which I think, Nick, you posted on, where somebody, I think it was a Channel 7 news article, was like, it started off with like the first paragraph was me having a rocky past, being controversial, and internal affairs investigations. And then within 2 days, that entire portion of the paragraph was gone. And that was about from every news article too. And all it was Special Victims Unit Detective. All of a sudden, all of my shit was gone, thank God. And they started focusing on the real issue, which is the children. And that was because the community stepped up and held them accountable.
Isn't that crazy how they question why on earth you would go to a podcast and not the news outlets, and then they immediately show you why you were justified in going on our podcast by berating you and focusing on you, and then you actually went in at their request and filmed a 20 to 30-minute interview, and then they only posted 7 minutes of it, whereas you get to come on here and talk for 37 minutes uninterrupted the entire time and get the full fucking story out? That's crazy.
I'm confused as why they didn't even put the 27 minutes that we recorded up on their YouTube channel. Like, all of their videos get like 800 views on YouTube. So who cares if you put up the entire unedited version on YouTube? You would get more views.
It's the line. Like, one of the crazy things is Cody talks about it. I mean, we've all talked about it, but it is not trusting legacy media, the news. And then you get to see how they discredited you with that. It's like, hey, let's focus on his quote unquote rocky past, but then just outright lie. The one that was wild is they said you headbutted a children in the face. And there was a 17-year-old that was like trying to pull somebody off a fucking police officer.
No, that was different. That was an off-duty fight with drug dealers.
Yeah, and they said children.
Yeah, they tried to say children. That kid's been arrested, like, I say kid, he's younger than me, but he was 17. He was selling dope outside my friend's house in a different town, and I confronted him about it, and then he swung at me, and I headbutted him in the mouth. And then we called the police. They showed up. They ended up tasing and arresting one of the dummies that was a part of their little gang. And since then, like, that dude that I got in a fight with has been arrested like numerous times for like breaking into people's cars and dope and just being an overall turd.
Yeah. I saw the news recently brought up the thing too about that dipshit that was hitting cars with a skateboard and you held him down until cops got there. They brought it up again. And they were like, held down a black man having a mental crisis,
which is hilarious because in the actual video, like, you're just holding him down. You're like, he's fine. The guy on the ground's like, yeah, no, I'm good.
Yeah, he says, I've been waiting for this all day. Because what the news doesn't put out there is that there were already 7 911 calls about him, that he was flashing his dick to people crossing the street and trying to hit cars and people with his skateboard before I showed up. And then the police went there, and because there was no complainant to be like, yeah, that's the guy, I want him arrested for flashing me and trying to hit me, they were like, hey, you're the guy that's causing an issue. You need to settle down. They had a mental health counselor with them who deemed him to be sane and fine, and they didn't need to put him into, the loony bin for the day to get him checked out. And they left. And then 3 minutes later, I showed up. And then 3 minutes later, he motherfucked me and then tried to hit my truck with his skateboard. And then we scuffled. And then that was it.
It's a shame that we have to even have this segment before, period. This shouldn't have to be discussed to show it's like, hey, this is trustworthy. The discrediting, if you're doing that and you're watching this, or that's your first reaction to be like, well, we just got to discredit that police officer. Fuck. We don't care about the kids, anything. First, let's get this guy. Let's knock him down a peg, and then we'll focus on that. And we have to have this segment just for that, which is fucking wild.
I think it's petty jealousy too, because the local media is upset you didn't go to them. You went to a podcast instead, and they're like, well, do we deserve to break this story? We're the real journalists. They do really think that way. Like, I experienced it myself, like with campaign stuff and whatnot. But the thing is, you actually wanted it to get fucking views, which is why you went to our podcast and not the local news station that A, was going to attack you and berate you anyway, but B, nobody fucking watches that anymore.
I didn't want to go somewhere where, like you said, the local news is just going to attack me and make me look dumb, and 20,000 people might see it at most. And the most attention it's going to actually get is, I don't know, somebody from the school saying, we'll look into it. And then it not being a non-story forever. Like, I was past that point. Like I said, that story that broke the straw that broke the camel's back, the one with the guy breaking into the school trying to steal the 2 kids, like I was like, no. Change is going to happen now. Change is going to happen right now.
Well, we still appreciate you coming out, being emotional with us, and feeling comfortable enough to have that discussion, because that was like, it speaks volumes to who you are, and then also the guys you have surrounded yourself with, and that the brotherhood we have formed. That's what I love most about all like this group of boys is, man, we're all comfortable around each other, and we're fucking truthful to each other. We don't pull punches, and we are not trying to hide anything. So again, brother, thank you so much for talking that way with us and ruining the after show.
Sorry. Sorry, not sorry. Nicholas, do you want to bring us up to speed on the sins of the Buffalo School District and how the local media has decided to not talk about that at all until Channel 2 came around and decided to?
Just for the sake of time, we're not even going to get into the 70s through the 90s, because those are a complete shit show where almost everything went unreported. And the only reason we know about the majority of them now are because people are filing civil suits after the fact due to new legislation. I believe it's the Safe Children's Act, which basically said there is no statute of limitations for civil suits in regards to sexual assaults. So there's been a bunch of stuff that has come out from that era, but we're going to skip past that. We'll get right into like 2019. There was a high school technology teacher caught with illicit child material all over his computer. He is now in federal prison. In 2019, again, another English teacher from the area was caught and convicted for growing marijuana, trafficking marijuana, having possession of illegal firearms, and distributing to minors.
Oh, that's nice.
Wow.
That's 2019, so that was great. 2022, we've got Gregory Johnson, position principal, accused of ongoing physical and sexual abuse of a student during the school year and field trips. The outcome, there has been no criminal charges filed as of 2025, but there is a civil suit that is filed. 2022, failure to report abuse of a high school counselor. This is actually the case that Rich talked about, I believe.
Failure to report by a high school counselor?
Yes.
Not in 2022. Mine's 2024.
2022, a student reported being physically abused by her father multiple times, even showing video evidence. Yes, that's... Sorry, the date's wrong on that one.
That's all right.
We've got the Shane Cronin incident, which is also what we talked about. That is the man that attempted to kidnap 2 children. And then 2024, we have a music teacher in Buffalo Public School that was attempting to meet up with a 13-year-old girl for sexual acts, but it was actually an undercover sting operation. In 2025, a teacher accidentally gave THC-infused gummies to 2 students that landed them in the hospital. And those are just a couple of the current cases that Buffalo School District has going on. And then we can get into the broader topic, and this is actually due to reporters doing their fucking job after they got called out repeatedly. This information was brought to light by one of, in my opinion, 2 good reporters in Buffalo that's actually doing investigative journalism. So this is from Nate Benson. And he filed FOIA requests with the BPD to get information on the stats of how many times the police department is called. Between September of 2021 and current time, Buffalo Police Department has had to respond to 17,772 calls at schools. Gist of those are, we've got 880 times that ambulances were required. We've got a lot of verbal abuse, a lot of threats, larceny, theft, juvenile trouble, lost property. More concerning stats, we've got 881 fights, 176 assaults. We've got 162 incidences of missing persons under the age of 12. We've got 126 assault incidences. And the most concerning of all of this is because when Rich came on the original podcast, he said that the school has some level of influence over school resource officers, SROs, and the school is using that influence to get them to not file things appropriately or bury the cases. Out of those 17,772 police calls, 54% of them are listed under other, miscellaneous, or direct patrol. Direct patrol means it was just the SRO on site that responded. There's no further elaboration as to what 54% of those 7,000 calls were relating to. So assuming that it's just proportional, the amount of sexual assaults would be double, if not more, and they're burying them and everything else. So that goes right in line with everything Rich said with things are not getting reported appropriately.
What the fuck? 52%?
54%.
54%?
Of the 17,000 are basically just lumped together under the miscellaneous category, and they have absolutely no idea what the incidents were even pertaining to. And I believe the head of the BPD, the chief, was asked about it by the news and said he wasn't familiar with the stats and needed to look into it more.
Rich,
If
this
I
actually
may-
ties. I was going to say real quick. It actually ties in kind of with what Rich has with what you got presented a little bit. Brandon, what were you going to say?
I was just going to say, if I may be so bold, it sounds like Buffalo Public Schools have a rocky past.
One would say that.
Bro, might it be controversial?
Maybe I would say that would sound pretty controversial. But enough about your rocky past. Let's talk about your rocky future.
Yeah, it's gonna be rocky going forward. Cody, let me know if you ran into any of this, so you can echo it, because I feel like this is a nationwide thing. Like, I think that's why one of the reasons why the video got a lot of attention is a lot of people working around schools or closely with schools have seen this happen, across the states. So when it comes to those 54% of calls that go under miscellaneous or information only, when I say hiding a call or killing a case, right, that could mean a couple of different things. And we'll talk about hiding a call or burying it, right? If I have a sexual assault between two children at the school, what the school will do sometimes is they'll call it in and make it information only or juvenile trouble, right? So these things do not elicit an investigation. There's no crime in information only or juvenile trouble. They're basically what they say they are. So in an information only, if Nick and I got in a verbal argument and we're neighbors, we don't get along, I might even say that he pushes my garbage can over 5 feet into my other neighbor's yard because he doesn't like me. I'll call up 911. I'll get a report done. It'll be information only. The information will be that I don't get along with my neighbor and he keeps moving my garbage can. It's really just a way to keep historical track of an issue that somebody might have. Hey, I just want this on paper just to show a history of this type of action, right? There's no criminal aspect to it. There's no investigation. So what the schools will do is they'll have information brought in by a student, will say, who says, my friend or myself happens to be assaulted, right? They're reporting for themselves or reporting for one of their friends. And the school will take it. And for some reason, and I don't know why, they're worried that it's going to be labeled as another rape in their school, even if it's just it didn't happen here. I'm just telling you because you're my teacher and I trust you. Could have happened at home, right? And they're burying it under information only. So then no investigation goes through it. Hey, Janie said that she was touched, but it happened at home. We don't want the stigmatism of another rape call being here. So what we're going to do is we're going to make it information only and then fill it out. Case closed. Hey, this person says that they were touched. We don't no further information. Case closed. Now, the only way that we can find that on BPD is if I search information only at that address, which never happens. Why would I search information only? There's no criminal aspect to it. There's no investigation needed. And that's how they bury it.
When I was a police officer, if you go to the school, crime actually happened, you fill out the criminal report, and then it goes up the chain of command. The people above you are going to look at it. But as Rich said, information only reports, it just gets buried in the computer unless you want to go search for it.
So the big hidden treasure here, to whoever wants to find it, is literally going to be going through those 5,400 different cases and then looking at the narrative and saying, all right, what did the police officer write down? Or what did the school tell the police officer here? And in one of my cases that I currently have, that I can't get into because I'm looking into it, but what I currently have is I have one of those where it's an where it's an information only, but the narrative states a sexual assault. And I'm investigating that currently. that is ongoing. I literally have in my possession that I'm investigating now, an ongoing investigation that is exactly what I stated. Information only, not reported to SVU, unintentionally, accidentally discovered, and then given to me because we're like, why is this inappropriately labeled? Otherwise, we never would have saw it. Otherwise, some poor kid that's a victim, potentially, because the investigation's ongoing, isn't getting any assistance. Now they're getting assistance, but that's only because we looked through it and found it.
And that's something that I saw a lot of people reaching out there like, this isn't just Buffalo public schools. I don't know why you guys are making a big deal of this. This isn't just a you thing. This happens everywhere. And I'm just thinking like, yeah, that's not fucking good either. That's even more important to talk about then. How does that make this a non-issue? You just said it was an issue everywhere that isn't talked about.
Yeah.
Maybe,
and while we're
just maybe, if the world gets shown that a bunch of random podcasters can start looking at something and get a bunch of people fired or put in jail, maybe it'll set a precedent that everybody else will be like, oh, fuck, maybe I should start doing my job. Or a bunch of podcasters that drink and burp are going to make sure I don't have one.
Mm-hmm.
Offenders assemble.
offenders assemble. Oh, I can't do mine around the school.
They're coming. What is it? A whole bunch of autistic people? They're pissed.
They're really upset. If now, while we're talking about that, just so I don't lose my train of thought, if there is a Buffalo public school, or the Buffalo, if there's a parent of a child that goes to a Buffalo public school and they're like, hey, you know what? My daughter or my son brought up that something happened at school and I called up the school and I wanted a report done. I wonder if they mislabeled mine. Those parents need to go to any Buffalo district house, Buffalo police district house, and they need to go to the report technician, the front desk, and say, hey, here's my ID. I'm so-and-so. So-and-so's my daughter, kid, whatever. I filed a police report with the school a while back and I never got a call. I'd like a copy of the report and just an update if there is one. And you're going to know then, A, if a report was even done for your incident, because if the report technician behind the desk says there's nothing here for your kid, you would probably search it underneath your child's name or your name. If they say, hey, there's no report for your kid, like period. Well, there you go. There's an incident of the school intentionally not reporting something that you called them to report. And then B, if you do get a report, note what is the headline? Is the headline information only? Is it miscellaneous? Is it something that they're trying to hide? Or is it exactly what happened? An assault, some sort of abuse.
On top of that, don't we also have an email address now if you want to shout that out?
takethehighroad@gmail.com. Take the HY road@gmail.com. And that's for any information, like if it's affecting you or you don't know what's going on or you're trying to shine some more light on it, please email that direct email,
Yeah.
Take the High Road, and tell us your story, because it is
guys,
one thing.
Please don't spam it either. Like, don't just flood it with, oh, I heard about this case. Here's a news article. Like, this is if you have something that you feel like needs to get out there or would help with this investigation.
If you were there and you witnessed a thing happen, if you're a first person and you saw it happen, or if you heard it from the person that saw it happen, that's it. And it'd be really great if you could give us dates, times, locations, and the names of those people involved.
I think the Buffalo public school system is handling the scrutiny terrific. Really. I mean, did you see what they did on Monday?
Oh my God.
Yeah, their statement.
Oh, no, that was on Sunday. Monday, they had independent auditors go to the administration building and walk around the hallways and try to ask people questions. And most people ignored them and stonewalled them, which, I can't really fault that if random dudes with cameras were showing up at my place of work. I don't really blame them for that. But then one gentleman by the name of John M. Palmara in the finance office got so upset that they were asking questions about the Buffalo Public Schools deleting evidence. He said, I know what to do. I'll break their phone that they're recording on and destroy more fucking evidence. Good. What a way to set a precedent and show what you guys are all about. Great fucking work. I love it.
Wild. Untruths.
And get arrested for it.
And get arrested for it, actually. Yeah. News hasn't covered that one yet.
Brendan, didn't you make an interesting point about their recorded like meetings?
Oh yeah, well, because it was the fact that like they're all available on YouTube. Like they live stream their board meetings. But this one, as soon as Detective Hy comes out on a podcast that is full of foul people, all of a sudden now they want to do a secret meeting that is not broadcast to YouTube, that the public is not available to go to.
Journalists weren't allowed. They were kicked out. Journalists were kicked out of that exact same closed door meeting, which is fucking wild.
What do you think they might have talked about?
The journalists also said that there was significantly more security at that meeting. They said there's usually like 1 or 2 people, and this time they had like 10. So then the journalists went and started interviewing teachers since they didn't have anything else to do. And the teacher they interviewed said, I don't know anything about exactly what Detective Hy has highlighted, but it wouldn't surprise me because at least in the 20 years that he's been there, there's been a pretty big culture of downplaying or hiding violence and assaults altogether.
Some people might call that a clue.
There's a culture of downplaying violence and other incidents, like the officers mentioning, in this district, really since I started over 20 years ago.
I also have a FOIA request in that got submitted today because the email that we set up already, somebody has reached out and said that, I'm not going to say his name because we don't have any evidence yet, but allegedly there is a vice principal at a Buffalo School District school that has been moved around almost every year of his career, and he gets constantly moved around due to complaints of sexual assault and being oddly sexual near children, and he just keeps getting bounced around from school to school. So I have a FOIA request out pertaining to all of the internal records with the Buffalo public school systems.
What?
Yeah, which that stuff drives me fucking crazy because people like it's the people who reply to this stuff, right, on like Facebook, like some of the people that don't like Rich that are like, I don't know why we're even talking about this. This happens with the Catholic Church all the time. Her. It's like, well, A, statistically speaking, it's way more likely to happen in public schools. B, we don't support that either. It's a controversial statement, but I just think that, abuse should be reported and talked about no matter where it happens. It just so happens to be happening here. This isn't a tit for tat kind of game.
What the fuck?
All right, Rich, you want to get to the hard evidence that we've got?
The new evidence that shows exactly what I've been talking about regarding the, oh man, my wife looks hot. Hi. We're recording a thing right now. You look hot though.
Leave this part in.
Hi. Cut that out.
So she doesn't want any part of this. She's got so much anxiety.
It's bad.
Yeah. So Nick, speaking of people emailing us and telling us, new and intriguing information that could be brought to light to show a history of, not working with police very well or intentionally mislabeling or even failing to report. I received an email from an individual at a school, and this individual said, hey, Rich, you came to my school last year and you were investigating a sexual assault on one of our students. This person didn't say exactly who told them that that they were not allowed to talk to me, but this person also had a statement from the student. Not the student that was assaulted, but the student's friend that was one of the people that she confided in. I forget the actual term that we use for it in policing, but whenever somebody confides their sexual assault to a friend, it's like their first utterance of it happening. That's a big deal. We notate the date and time and what that person was told by that individual, and it grants credence and validates the victim's story, right? Instead of just a he said, she said, there's other people involved, which is what we want. More eyes, more statements, more voices to solidify exactly what happened. So I'm going to read what this child wrote in a statement, and then I'll go over why it's a big deal.
Just to be clear, before you read the statement, just so I understand exactly what's happening. You investigated this, you solved the case, you closed the case.
Yes.
And this individual at the school, either a teacher, a counselor, whoever, was given this written information by the student and then was told she was not allowed to give it to you, the detective that was actively investigating this assault.
That's correct.
What the
So
fuck?
this is new
dude?
evidence.
Jesus.
This is new evidence brought in after the fact because the administration withheld evidence intentionally in a sexual assault case.
That's correct.
So this would be failure to report and obstruction of justice?
I mean, yeah, I would say so.
Okay. I just want to make sure we're all on the same
Or
page.
witness tampering. I mean, I can't know if you really do witness tampering. That's kind of a stretch, but basically evidence was available. This person wanted to share it with me, and then they were told not to share it with me and not to even talk to me.
It's fucking wild.
And get ready for this. Get ready for this. All right, so I'm going to read it now. If you could please bleep out, I'm not even going to say the names, but please black out the names of those that are suspects, because the names mentioned in here could come up as a part of a new investigation for failure to report. So we're going to leave the names of the suspects out. I'm just going to say like teacher A or just the teacher, whatever. On Tuesday, October 22nd, I told Miss Blank that the victim got raped in the auditorium. She said, I'm not the right person to tell, and she took me to Miss Blank in the office. I told Miss Blank, today, the victim came late to a different teacher's class because she got raped in the auditorium. Miss Blank asked, is there any proof? Which is not what you ask a child when they're reporting this. The victim's friend stated, yes, there is a video. Miss Blank asked, who was the boy? I said suspect, and she said, okay. She said she would handle it tomorrow. She would handle it tomorrow. I thought she was going to do something or pull us in the morning and talk about it. But then the half of the 7th grade knew, so we told Miss Blank because nothing was done. Miss Blank was in shock and said, give me 5 minutes. We walked away from Miss Blank and the victim started crying. So we went to go look for Miss Blank. Signed, the victim's friend who made this statement 2 days after. So in case you're not picking up what I'm putting down here, there was an assault on a child. The child made statements to her friend, hey, I got assaulted. The friend goes to teachers and says, hey, so-and-so was assaulted.
They'll say teacher A. So teacher A, is there multiple teachers?
There's multiple teachers.
Okay,
Goes
so
to
teacher A is the first one.
Sure. Teacher A is first. Hey, we're going to go to teacher A and we're going to tell her. Teacher A says, oh, this ain't in my job description. Let's go to teacher B, which is fine. Whatever. You go to another teacher. She goes to teacher B. Teacher B says, where's the proof? Do you have any proof? Which is not how you say things to a child. There's ways that you interview children. This is not one of them.
It's almost like people that work in the education system aren't qualified to conduct their own investigations.
Mother of God, Nick, you nailed it on the head.
Wow. Fucking crazy. Makes you wonder how well all the investigations they've performed in the past have turned out.
So this goes on.
This is the end? This is like all the movement that ever happened on this case?
Well, I'll go into a little bit what happened afterwards to give it like a full picture. But in this scenario, in this child's statement, so she goes to teacher A, goes to teacher B. Teacher B says, well, what happened? Is there proof? Yeah, there's video. And then says, all right, we'll talk about it tomorrow. No, you fucking don't. You report that shit immediately, because if there's video going around of that kid getting assaulted all over school, that's got to get nipped in the butt right away. You can't have that. You've got underage kids doing it. Guess what that's called? There's a term for that. And it's getting spread around the school.
It's getting shared, and they have no, and you're, again, 7th grade, going to an adult and saying, hey, this just happened. Happened. And there's video evidence that is fucking asinine to go, I'll look into it tomorrow.
Dude.
That's just pure rage of especially your own kids. And then you hear this. It's fucking wild. The first response is, I'll look into it tomorrow.
So then, after nothing happened, Then they went to teacher C, another teacher.
I think they went to a third individual, teacher, whatever. I think it was teacher. And then I believe that teacher, let me just double check. I want to, so in the morning, nothing happened. But then, that following day, half of 7th grade already knew what was going on. So then they went to teacher C and said, give me 5 minutes. And that teacher, I believe, was the one that started, notifying school individuals and other things like that, and then got the ball rolling. Thank God. So I showed up a day, maybe 2 after.
So teacher C is the one that gathered this statement from the 7th grader and then was told by the administration she was not allowed to work with you or turn evidence over to you.
I'm not sure. I'm just for anonymity's sake. There are like 5 people named in this document, and I'm not sure. I don't even want to say that the person that gave it to me is labeled in there or isn't labeled in there. I'm going to give them a little bit of anonymity just because I don't want their shit to blow up. Right. The person that gave me this information or that forwarded the complaint may or may not be in this document. Good fucking luck figuring that out. But I did receive it. So, boom. The end result of this investigation, thank God, was that it was determined not to be an assault. We ironed everything out. I don't want to get in, these kids' businesses, but it was basically a very emotional reaction to the videos being spread, embarrassment, etc. Right? And by the way, these are children. They're scared. They don't know what's going on. Their brains aren't fully developed. They're doing adult activities and recording them, not understanding the repercussions. It was a mess that we sifted through. But because of that mess that we sifted through, that we investigated, because I don't know if people know this, but as a detective, especially when it comes to kids, my job isn't to arrest a 16-year-old or 12-year-old or 8-year-old. My job is to determine if a crime happened, and then also to get these kids assistance, especially when it comes to like mental health awareness, and getting them to like the Child Advocacy Center, the Family Justice Center, and getting them counseling, which is exactly what happened. We determined that a crime hadn't been committed. We moved forward. We got these kids on both sides help. And everybody is okay. Nobody's in jail. What do you know? Cops don't just arrest everybody when they show up.
With no help from the school system.
Honestly, I thought that the school was phenomenal. I went there and I worked with them. One of the principals or both of the principals were giving me information. They were calling me up. They were wondering about updates. There were teachers in the school that like wanted answers right away. And the principal was like, hey, listen, our school's upset about this. We're looking for this. We'd like information when you can get it to us. I thought it was phenomenal. And then I get smacked with this. So even when I think that I'm getting treated amazing and I have a great relationship with the people at this school, there's somebody within the school. I don't know who. I don't know who yet. I asked this question. I haven't gotten a response yet. So I'm waiting. Somebody in that school, somebody still was like, don't help the cops. Don't give them this statement. It's going to look like we failed to report, which you did.
Yeah, because you said that like it was later determined that there was no crime was actually committed. But the school didn't know that at the time. For all the school knew, that could have been a full-blown rape that they were making sure they did not cooperate with your investigation at all or report it.
Thank you. That is the exact point that I wanted to hit on. And you brought it up before I could. Thank you, Brandon. The point of this whole entire thing is that at the time, this was a very real investigation regarding the assault of a child. So how in the world, without knowing anything other than that, than the victim's statement of what happened, and they're now being video passed around the school, would you be like, you know what we should do? We should still withhold this from the detectives who are doing the investigation. Mind blowing.
It's just speechless of that idea of like, well, let's delay it and now don't talk to the police. Giving a direct, because as you said, it like they were told not to work with the police.
Correct.
And that's fucking disgusting.
welcome to my world. Maybe now Channel 4 can get off my back and they can say, oh, well, I guess there is information. Because let me tell you, the hardest part for me, like as an individual, like if I'm being selfish, right? The hardest part for me so far is knowing the information that I've investigated on these cases, but not being able to share it with the news or you guys because it's part of an investigation that's ongoing, or it's something that I know because of my job and I can't give away too much information because otherwise I could be held accountable for violating the media policies of my department. Now this is different. This case is closed. I still haven't given away any information that you couldn't get from a FOIA request on a closed case, no longer open, closed. And this was given to me as a civilian by another civilian. This document that was given to me had nothing to do with me being on the job. I was off. They sent it to my personal email. That's how they got this information to me. They gave this to angry cops, not Detective Hy. So now I can talk about it. And I know everything about this case because it was my case. But that's the hardest thing that has been, is watching people shit on me on the internet because I can't give them everything right off the rip. You've got to ask for a FOIA request because I'm already on thin ice. I'm already going out and being a fucking whistleblower. I'm already putting, the spotlight on my city and my department.
I mean, you're doing it.
I can't do anything more without literally just ruining my reputation with my department and then just going through files and just sending everybody stuff. And then I would completely understand if I was unhinged like that and just gave everything away, that I would be suspended. So I can't cross that line.
And you are even make us, like Nick, as you said earlier, you submitted a FOIA request. So did I. We are doing it the right way because Rich is following the rules that he has to follow. And he's like, hey, here, like, you have to do it this way. He's just like, here's how you submit for that. And we have to follow those guidelines. But that's going to be a week to a month to get this shit out, get the ball rolling on that stuff. And it's delay. And unfortunately, with the internet or something like this, 2 weeks on the internet, it's fucking gone. People forget about it. So that's why right now it's, hey, update, here you go, roll this out so these people are actually held accountable for their actions or lack thereof actions.
As far as that stuff goes, with the department itself, is it productive? Because I saw a lot of people like calling people within the Buffalo Police Department and stuff like that. Is that the way you would recommend going about it, or is that just going to make things hard for you? Because to my understanding, the Buffalo Police Department is the one that is upset about being stonewalled about this.
So if you want to call somebody and make a complaint, call the Board of Education, call the mayor. If you want to see an investigation that is beyond the Buffalo Police Department, which at this point I believe it should be, right? There's so many moving pieces that the district attorney's office is involved because the schools are ignoring subpoenas by them. They're not assisting and they're obstructing investigations by the Buffalo Police Department, and they're also not reporting them, right? When you have the district attorney's office, the Buffalo Police Department, and you could even go with like New York State Bar, like because lawyers aren't responding to subpoenas. There's the U.S. Board of Education. When you have all these things together, you can't have all these individual investigations going on and not talk to one another. So in a perfect world, somebody a step above the district attorney's office and the Buffalo Police Department would be investigating this, whether it be the AG's office, the U.S. attorneys, the FBI, the New York State Bar. But the bar is more towards, lawyers that do something incorrectly, not really criminal aspects of it. Even, the AG Pam Bondi's office, the AG. That's where I think where the investigation needs to go. So people like tagging them, emailing them, that I think is where it needs to go. And I think one of the important things, I forget if we talked about it or not, is to have family members like the mom and dad of these kids that think that they reported something to the school and that the school did the right thing and reported it to the police, is those people need to go to a Buffalo Police District station house and request the report with their child's name on it. Bring your ID, and then you'll know. Was there a report even done, or was it intentionally mislabeled, or was it done appropriately? And if it wasn't, you feel free to email takethehighroad@gmail.com.
Great idea, by the way.
Well, yeah, who thought up of Take the High Road? Was it Eli?
It was the other. I think that was fucking the people, right, Nick?
Yeah, I mean, I suggested it, but that idea came straight from the comment section. It just kind of became the official slogan of all of this.
High Road was taken. So Show was like, I got Take the High Road. I was like, Show, that's beautiful.
It's Take the High Road at
yeah,
gmail.com?
HY. Yep, HY.
That's one of the many, many instances of our army of autists coming in clutch to make sure that this happens.
And I really appreciate them. It was rough the first couple of days trying to deal with this. And then, I made my little video saying, hey, thanks for the support. I appreciate it. By the way, to everybody that's been pooping on me back home, I'm in Boston trying to find the missing children of Buffalo. So thanks. And that video got a lot of positive comments, and it definitely rubbed my tummy, made me feel a little bit better.
We might have to cut this part, but I just got another email.
Oh,
What'd you get?
One of the directors of the Buffalo Public Schools Safety and Security is a fired Buffalo police officer that was handed the job by Kreiner Cash because he was his driver. The news refused to report on this after the McKinley shooting took place a few years back. He has been investigated internally several times for his treatment of employees. I thought this might interest you. I would really like to remain anonymous. And then they sent me several links regarding this.
Was he fired? Did it say fired Buffalo cop?
It says fired Buffalo cop.
Oh, but that's
hard.
not a fucking red flag.
I mean, it's fairly hard to get fired as a cop in Buffalo. You guys are union, aren't you?
For union, we just fired a couple people. You gotta mess up pretty good. And when you mess up pretty good, you're gone. Like that.
that, and I imagine there's a lot of people that really want Rich to have been fired over the years, and he's still here. He's still kicking.
Thanks, India Walton.
Whoa. So what next would just be like any worries from you for like before we close this out? What are your worries?
I've got one more. I forgot, but basically a preschool either teacher's aide or teacher, in order to discipline, this is preschool kids, in order to discipline the kids in preschool, she would put them in the bathroom and turn off the lights and then put her foot against the door so the kid's going to get out.
What?
Well, that's fucking mean.
And that's like sensory deprivation. Like that's how you like
That's
mess with
cruel and
people's
unusual
mind.
punishment.
So you're doing this to like a 4-year-old.
This is how like problems. This is how problems start, and that's so many different problems with that fucking situation. You have again, you're shutting a kid in darkness, creating a new fear. Also, then you're going to have the repercussions of, hey, this is an adult I'm supposed to trust. Now you're breaking trust. Now you're not going to. You're going to have anxiety around adults. You're not going to trust, or you're going to have confusion of who to trust and who not to trust, and fear. As you get older, that is just a world of so messed up to do to a 4-year-old. That's like lasting repercussions.
That person is still, I have their name. That person is still at the school. That person's just not allowed in that classroom anymore.
Wait, they fucking kept, they weren't fired?
They're still in the same school.
They're still around kids?
They're still
let's see, but
I believe the email said they're still an active teacher. They're just not allowed to teach kindergartners anymore. So it's fine to lock kids in the bathroom with no lights as long as they're tall enough to activate the light switch, apparently.
Do you have any idea how hard it is to violate the 8th Amendment rights of a kindergartner? Like, I did not have that on my bingo card, but all right.
Jesus.
Yeah, they're both still working at the school, and I have the person's name.
Do we have FOIA requests out for that yet?
No, I only have the person's last name.
Okay, I can write one today.
Okay.
So what is the next, what are any fears that what are your biggest fears with this, like going unacknowledged?
Is that there's no continued investigation. Like there's no investigation. Right now, the Buffalo Public Schools are saying that they're doing their own third-party investigation, which doesn't mean jack shit to me, right? They're buying their own lawyer, their own investigator to do an investigation on themselves. And what's going to happen when that investigator finds a criminal aspect to this? Like failing to report is it's crime in New York State. It's New York State Penal Code, and I forget what the number is, but it's a mandated reporter not reporting, right? That is a thing. It's a misdemeanor that you could be arrested for, right? So what are they going to find? What are they going to do when they find that a crime has been committed and that people have failed to report?
They're going to label it information only.
They're going to label it information only and bury that shit. So honestly, unless it's this is, like I said, there's so many moving parts, especially with the DA's office not having subpoenas be responded to, that this is above the Buffalo Police Department. This has to be at a minimum the DA's office. At a minimum, the DA's office has to do an investigation.
And they've elected to remain silent so far.
Which is disheartening, because I don't know how anybody could look at this and say, I think that sticking up for kids is going to make us look bad.
Is there the election coming up?
Not for another 3 years, but I got a long fucking memory.
Brother, listen.
Just for a personal note to the DA, there's currently a civil suit that just got settled in 2023 for $10 million because a man was sexually assaulted when he was a child, and he was sexually assaulted when he was 11 years old. And what ended up happening with this case in 1978 was he was caught by Buffalo PD receiving acts from an 11-year-old in his car at a park, and the cops arrested him immediately and tried to press charges and have charges pressed, obviously for acts with an 11-year-old. And what ended up happening was, because this gentleman was connected and had friends, the DA and a local judge received, I forget what you call it, but essentially letters from people vouching for his credibility.
Like character witness?
Character witness. He had character witness letters, and then he was evaluated by a psychiatrist that said he probably won't do it again. So the DA's office and the local judge decided to not press charges. He then went on to be a sitting board member of the Lovejoy Elderly and Youth Program for years, where he presumably assaulted more people. So DA's office, you can be that DA or you can be the DA that does your fucking job. Up to you.
Yeah, we would love nothing more than to give huge kudos to somebody for cracking down on this and being the person to blow this wide open. You know, if an investigation actually happened and people lost their jobs or went to jail over shit like this, over, you know, just basic accountability, we would love to just applaud them for doing that. But instead, everybody seems like their immediate action is just to stonewall even harder, pretend they're investigating, and attack Rich's character. And if that's the way you want to fucking play this, we can do this all day.
So it's pretty much an open offer to anybody that wants to grow a spine and do the right thing. Everybody in this video right now can build up a person and their career just as fast as we can tear it down. So if you're going to be the person that steps in and does the right thing, we're going to be in your fucking corner for you getting reelected or promoted to continue doing the right thing.
Yep. 100%.
Yeah. You have our full weight, and I guarantee our community's weight behind you too.
Yeah, this isn't just one way, trolling, we just want to attack people. No, we just want the right fucking thing to happen, and we're willing to do whatever's necessary.
Especially with kids. Like anything with children, special needs, anyone that needs help, doesn't have a voice, that is our job, like, to protect them, to help them, to guide them. They are our future.
Well, I'm getting the look, boys.
No.
Okay. Yeah, you Rich, thank you.
Do you look fat? No, you don't look fat. You look adorable. You're not a fat sausage. I'll help you tie them. We're closing right now. You're welcome. She's pretty and she deserves a night out because she's been stressed because of my life, and I also haven't seen her a bunch, so I got to give the woman props. She's been amazing through this.
Well, Rich, thank you so much for sharing all that, the updates. And Nick, awesome job of your own personal research and going above and beyond. And that goes for all the guys. Just really Twitter, social media, X, whatever you want to call it. All y'all have been stepping up and really getting the message out there. And it's awesome to see. And I am super proud of you all. And same for the community. Y'all are crushing it. Y'all are forcing people to look at this shit and acknowledge it. So thank you to each and every one of you out there.
And I've never seen anybody on the fucking receiving end of a fat electrician TISM research hole. And frankly, it's terrifying. And I'm glad we're friends.
Yeah.
Right.
Nick, hold up that book you just pulled out.
I'm
made a binder.
That's binders, dude.
I
He
know.
got a tracker keeper of bullshit.
I am so far up the school district's ass. If they open their mouth, I'm going to use them as a telescope. Okay. I'm fucking all over it.
Nick has pink eye.
Oh, and what these poor bastards don't even know is it's only just begun. We just gave them a taste. We're about to go knee deep.
Oh, I love it. Oh, I love it.
This is just the tip so far.
Just the tip, baby.
Well,
Take that, investigative journalists. We've got an electrician.
We got a fat, angry electrician.
Channel 4, we have a Hulk.
People listen to you because of your job. I have this job because people listen to me. We're not the same thing.
Cody, you want to close it out, you beautiful boy?
Everyone, thank you for coming to another special episode of the Unsubscribed Podcast. I was joined today by Angry Cops, that electrician, Eli Double Tap, Brandon Herrera, myself, Donut Operator. Thank you so much.